welcome. So we'll just start here with kind of the formalities of what we start at every meeting. So we're going to go ahead and call this meeting to order. Under the Portland City Code and state law, the Portland Utility Board is holding this meeting electronically. Board members and relevant city staff are attending remotely, electronically, or by phone, and the city has made it available for the public to listen to the audio broadcast of this meeting. The meeting is being recorded. The public will have an opportunity to provide comments during the public comment portion of the agenda and can also provide written testimony to the board by emailing the email listed. So this is a statement we read at the beginning of all of our utility board meetings. So this is PUB's belief, values, and anti-racist principles. PUB believes and acts upon anti-racist principles in our meeting spaces and interactions with PUB. While every person has the right to share their personal perspective, we stand against wrongful conduct, particularly any conduct that is targeted toward people that are made vulnerable by systemic inequities. This means stepping up as a community when there is wrongful conduct and fostering a space of learning and growth. So putting these principles into actions, please speak up and speak out. Each person is empowered to maintain the culture of the Portland Utility Board, focus on the impacted individual or population, condemn the conduct and not the person. And meeting guidelines, I'm going to turn this over to Amy Archer Masters for this.
All right, I will quickly run through the meeting guidelines, and just for the record, we have reached quorum. So quickly, just share your name before you speak, and if appropriate, the name of the person you are addressing or that you're addressing the group. The chat box is only viewable by the hosts, which includes the PUB staff, Eliza and myself. So please limit any chats to technical and logistical issues, including signing up for public comment, asking for technical assistance, or reminding us that you've been waiting to speak if you've not been called on. The raise hand function is primarily used by the board. The co-host may lower your hand once you've begun speaking to maintain the flow of the conversation. During public comment periods, the public can raise their hand and you'll be called on when appropriate. If connecting by phone, please press *9 to raise your hand. Videos may be turned on for board presenters and facilitators when speaking. If desired, it's not required. Members of the public and others should leave videos off. Please mute your microphone when you're not speaking. Members of the public will be muted except when giving public comment. If using your phone, please press *6 to mute or unmute yourself. Public comment will be taken during the public comment period early in the meeting. You can sign up through chat with PUB staff or raise your hand during the public comment period. It's also available just prior to any formal board vote after a motion has been made and seconded by board members. As mentioned, this meeting is being recorded. I'll pass it back to you, Quisha.
All right, thank you for that, Amy. So just quickly, our agenda, we had our call to order. We'll just have a quick disclosure of communications, our public comments, review of the minutes. We have Quisha Light, who is the new Portland Water Bureau Director of Customer Service. So we're going to give her a couple minutes to talk to her, let her introduce herself. And then we have really only kind of one big item. It's discussion and decision making on. So these are recommendations that we discussed back in December. So this is kind of picking up where we left off before budget season. I think that's going to be the bulk of where we're at. We have a couple items to discuss, and then with quorum, we'll take kind of a formal vote on recommendations. So I think that's all. And if we have time, we have a couple other items on just quick updates. All right, so just quick hello to everybody. I just kind of want to chime in and just say thank you to the entire board and staff who helped us put this budget letter together. I know it was a heavy lift. It's a lot to do in a short amount of time. So I appreciate everybody's dedication, all the wonderful conversations, and the letter that we came up with. I thought it was great with a lot of fantastic points for council. So I just want to, if I could applaud, thank you everybody for doing that. So, and if there's any disclosures of communications from board members at this point. Tom, go ahead.
Thank you. I feel like I've always got a disclosure to do, but I wanted to share with everyone that I had contacted the Water Bureau about a property in my neighborhood that was for sale, and I was interested in it. And it has, it's a single family lot, 50 by 100 foot lot. It has, strangely enough, it has 3 houses built on it, and each house has its own meter. So I wondered how the Water Bureau charges for that. And it turns out that they charge a fee as if it's a single family residence. So this 50 by 100 foot lot is being charged 3 stormwater fees of the equivalent of 2,400 square feet. So when you add up the square footage of impervious area assumption of impervious area, it's more than the entire lot. And they charge a base charge. So I just thought it's something that I've been looking at the rate study, and it's really big, and it's to me it's complicated, and I just think that there are things like this, the you know, the old saying, the devil's in the detail. And so the methodology that Water Bureau and BES currently use to just assign fees to properties, maybe that's in the report, but it's something I'll be looking for to see if it is there. Anyway, I wanted to share that, because we're really not going to talk about rates today, but I was thought, as I get these little bits of information, anybody can check me on this, please, if you would, make sure I got it right. And just wanted to share that with everybody as we will be looking at rates over the coming months. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Teresa.
Hi, this is Teresa. I just have my usual communications with my fellow board members at DPAVE, and I think 2 of them are BES staff. And that's it.
Perfect. Thank you, Teresa. And it looks like Eliza put up a little question, sort of a get to know you question. What is a food that you disliked as a child but now love? I guess I'll answer it since I'm the one that's talking. I couldn't stand avocados or guacamole when I was little. I thought they were, I think probably because of the color, but now it's something I absolutely love. But in general, I think a lot of stuff I didn't like as a child, I still don't like as an adult. So anyway. Karen, did you want to chime in?
Sure. For me, it's pizza, surprisingly. Must have just been the look of it. It was too messy or something. And I remember distinctly, you know, having it at a kid birthday party once. Must have been because that was like all there was. And I said, wow, this stuff isn't so bad. And obviously, or maybe not so obviously, but definitely love pizza now. So that's my answer.
Thanks. Anybody else want to chime in for the board just to mix things up a little bit?
I'm totally happy to participate in this. This is Julia. Cantaloupe. My grandmother loved cantaloupe growing up, and she would feed me this perfect, beautiful, ripe cantaloupe, and it was completely lost on me, and I'd pretend to like it. And like as an adult, it was like one of my favorite foods of all time. So it's too bad she never got to witness me enjoy cantaloupe, but yeah, totally converted that on the cantaloupe front.
Thanks, Julia. I still don't like cantaloupe, so it didn't change for me. Amy.
Hey, what a fun question. The list is so long, but I'll settle on Brussels sprouts. Hated Brussels sprouts, only started liking them about a year ago.
I was also in the same camp on Brussels sprouts.
And I'm with you on cantaloupe. I do not like cantaloupe.
Teresa.
For me, it was eggplants. I hated eggplants when I was a kid, but now for some reason, I know they're still mushy. They still don't taste great by themselves, but I just love them. And some of the veggies that hated when I was a kid, I still hate now are cucumbers, and I can tolerate tomatoes now, which I know those are like two favorite veggies of most people. But yeah.
Thanks. Karen Spencer. So Karen, you're coming across a little robotic. I don't know if what you're connected to.
I've been having
We had you for a second and then we lost you. Still can't hear you. No. Was it mushrooms? Is that what you said? Was it mushrooms?
Oh, Karen is saying she can't even hear now, so she's having technical troubles.
Okay. You might have to come back out and come back in. All right. Anybody else just want to give a little bit of space if there's anybody else that want to chime in? If not, it's okay. We don't have to confess our dislikes at this meeting if we don't want.
Yeah, Kale here. I'll participate. Now I'm a little bit disappointed with the cantaloupe thing. I love cantaloupe as a child and as an adult. Maybe you just have to let it sit and get all juicy for a little before you eat it because it's so good. But I would have to say, I mean, there are some that I absolutely hated, like tomatoes, hated it. But I can tolerate it, eggplants and all. But I guess for me, it's mushrooms. I hated mushrooms, but I love mushrooms. I probably hated it because my parents used to go foraging for it, and I had to come along, and it wasn't so fun. And it's usually rainy. But I love mushrooms, all types of mushrooms, from shiitake to just those little button mushrooms, all kinds of mushrooms. So, yeah. But y'all got to learn to like cantaloupe. It's so good.
Especially if it's chill, just put it in the microwave. I mean, the microwave, put it in the refrigerator, get it nice and cold and juicy. Maybe some ice cream. Okay, all right, I'm done now.
You know, I've tried. I don't know that I'm a melon person. So, but I have family members who love it. So, you know, it's not wasted. All right.
Karen might be able to talk now. I'm not sure. She can hear.
No,
No, we're still not hearing. She was contributing that she didn't like musty squash and okra.
Oh, yes.
I'm guessing, because it was just via chat, and Karen can correct us later, but I'm guessing maybe now she likes squash and okra when they're cooked well. That would be my guess.
Yeah. Way to interpret that one, Eliza. All right, public comments. I don't know that we had anybody signed up specifically.
I didn't have anybody contact me, and if anybody is from the public and wants to give contact now, please raise your hand or unmute yourself.
A little minute here. I don't see any hands. Okay. So if we don't have any, we'll just kind of move on. So a draft of the minutes from, let's see, it was our 21st? No, April 5th meeting minutes. Is that correct, Eliza?
Yes, I hope that is what I sent to you all.
Yes, that's what I have here. So I'm gonna give a couple minutes on this. If there's anybody that had any comments, changes, clarifications on those minutes. If not, then they will be accepted as they stand. Okay, not seeing any hands, then I think they're just accepted as is. And I'm going to turn the time over to Quisha Light. She wants to join us.
All right, good morning, everyone. Good morning, members of the Portland Utility Board. My name is Quisha Light, and as noted, I'm the new Customer Service Director for the Portland Water Bureau. I'm excited to be here this morning, excited to be part of the city and the Bureau, particularly with helping to move forward some of the key goals around affordability, equity, sustainability, and climate change. I'm originally from Memphis, Tennessee, but I've called Oregon home for about 15 years now. I really resonate with the state motto, "She flies with her own wings." I think that was written for me. I'm the oldest of 6 children. My parents put a lot of space between me and my siblings. So I'm 5 years older than my oldest sibling and 16 years older than the youngest. So I learned early about leadership, problem solving, how to empower people to get things done. I would think my siblings would probably say that I bribed or bossed them. And I would say that I just learned how to motivate them and use that to, to my advantage. I tell you these things because my upbringing shaped my values. It shaped my leadership style and much of my philosophy on life. And, my family was poor. My parents lived paycheck to paycheck. We had a lot of candlelight dinners, if you know what I mean, portable fans, really thick blankets, shared bath water. We lived in an inefficient home. My family was consistently, persistently energy and water burdened. And that's something I know that many of our customers experience. And while I was blessed to get a great education, secure employment that allows me to live a more privileged life, the challenges my family faced stick with me. In many areas of my life, I still function from a position of lack or fear that no resources will be there to assist me and my family. I tell you these things, like I said, because so that you will know that my lived experiences play a key role in my decision-making and my leadership. These experiences guide me to create programs from a realistic place of compassion and empathy. Prior to joining the Water Bureau, I was at Portland General Electric for almost 11 years. And before that, I practiced law in Tennessee. And at PGE, I had the opportunity to represent the company on customer complaint issues that were before the Public Utility Commission. I helped develop long-term resource plans, participate in a major meter exchange project, engaged in customer and community engagement to understand our customers' needs and wants, led product development teams and project teams to create and implement new and innovative energy programs for our customers. Throughout that, my lived experience, along with that professional experience, played a key role in the types of programs that I built while at PGE. It played a key role in asking the right questions for my team members as they were creating new programs or working through issues with customers. Understanding, because I could understand where many of our customers who were experiencing energy burden, I could understand where they were coming from. I knew what they were talking about. I could ask the right questions. And I could lead my team to asking the right questions and creating the right solutions. Also, through these experiences, I learned the value of cultivating a strong employee experience and the role it plays in providing an excellent customer experience. Employees that are engaged, empowered, and supported, they will happily and effectively use that experience, their experience, their expertise to bring innovative ideas and deliver dynamic customer experience and solutions. So my view on employee and customer experience is key to my servant leadership style, which is very human-centered, guided by emotional intelligence, and and quite frankly, just solution-based. And right now, our employees and our customers need solutions. As you know, the last 2 years have brought our employees, customers, and community numerous challenges, and many are still in disarray. But for many of our customers, the last 2 years didn't bring or cause affordability, water burden, or financial strain. Those things existed previously. The pandemic just added fuel to the fire for them. Right now at the Bureau, over this time period, the Bureau, we've tried to help our customers fight these fires by suspending disconnections and late payment fees. But this has not slowed the increase in the debt that's owed for water, sewer, and stormwater services. The Bureau and customer service, we've been doing what we can with the help of ARPA funding, which you saw in the update provided on the Afloat and MASH programs. However, we know that there is so much more to do. I have this view, this lens as I'm coming in. Today, I don't have answers or solutions for you, as I've only been at the Bureau for a month. But what I've been doing and what I am doing right now is listening, learning, and assessing. And I'm going to be working with my team in the coming months to develop clear goals for our organization. And those goals will center on key themes such as enhancing the employee experience, increasing customer engagement, and creating the right customer, that optimal customer experience. We're also going to be focusing on refining current or developing new affordability-based programs, increasing our use of data to drive the right solutions, and strengthening the customer service organization's alignment and insight across the Bureau. Because I believe as my team has more connection across the Bureau, more knowledge and information across the Bureau, that makes them a better expert for our customers and for our community. And I'm looking forward to bringing some of these new ideas, these goals to this board. I'm looking forward to engaging with you in the coming months. As I stated, I currently don't have many answers to offer you today, but I am happy to field any questions or comments or thoughts that you may have for me today. If I don't have answers, I'll take your questions and do my best to get you an expedient answer. I thank you for the time to just introduce myself to you. And as I stated, I'm happy to try to field any questions you may have for me.
Thank you so much, Quisha. We're excited that you're here, that you're on board. I know there's been a lot of concern from our board, in particular to a lot of the topics that you've talked about. So it's exciting to hear somebody who's ready to take this on and to figure out solutions. I relate with you a little bit. I'm the second oldest of 5 kids, so my nickname was Little Miss Bossy from my mom when I was younger. So I was constantly telling my younger brothers and sisters what to do, like, you know, just kind of what you do as like an older sister, I guess. But
yes.
I know you have a little kind of limited time to be with us, so I'm gonna open the floor if there's anybody on the board that has any questions or just some comments for Quisha before she kind of has to leave us, just thoughts or things that we want to talk about. Karen Williams.
I just want to say thank you so much. Welcome. Thank you for sharing your story and your values and introducing yourself to us in that way. I am thrilled you're here and really look forward to partnering with you and working with you over the coming time.
Thank you.
So thank you so much. Welcome.
Thank you.
And thumbs up from Julia. Thank you. Anybody else? I'm sure we'll be seeing a lot of Quisha and have a lot of interactions with her, so don't think this is the one and only. And also, if you have any questions directly for her, we can always email Eliza and Amy. Karen Spencer.
I hope you can hear me now.
We can hear
Yay.
you.
So I had a question. I read the link that Eliza sent in the read ahead materials about the city auditor's recommendations. And I was somewhat curious about why a landlord might hear 2 weeks earlier than a tenant about an impending shut off, and why not notify everybody at the same time. I was just a little curious about the policy behind that.
Now, that one I may have to punt to others. Gabe may have a better insight because I don't have that information, Karen, but I'm happy to go and check with the team unless Gabe has something that she can offer there. I'll have to.
Thanks for the question. I'm Gabe Selmer. I'm the director of the Water Bureau. And I will also have to go check exactly on that. I know it has something to do with the owner of the property and how the arrangement might have been made for who is getting the bill and who is being billed. But I'm intrigued, so I will find out more and get back to you and to the board.
Thanks, Gabe. Tom.
I also want to say welcome to Quisha. And on this topic, which I happen to just notice this as well, is that it struck me as being, well, I just didn't understand how the Bureau could turn off the water to an apartment complex when if all the apartments are not paying directly, it's being paid by the owner. It seemed pretty harsh on the tenants, and I thought that was something that we might kind of take a look at and talk about. Is that really fair to tenants, whether they're notified 2 weeks in advance or not, unless they're all being told to move out of the building? I have a lot of relatives that live in rental units, and I think that would be pretty bad if they had their water turned off because the owner of the property didn't pay the bill. So anyway.
It's definitely something to take and do some more research into. I appreciate you all just raising it. We will do some research and, as Gabe stated, get back to you all because, like I said, thank you for raising it.
Robin.
Yeah, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, Quisha, I just wanted to welcome you to the position that you're in. It's good to know that you have a lived experience that will assist you in this, in your director role. And I just wanted to suggest, of course, I've been on the board for about a year now, and just what we've learned in the last couple of years, both working in water policy as well as just what cultural events that have happened, and the Black Lives Matter protests, and becoming more aware of my own class and the limitations of economics and how families are impacted by their socioeconomic status. And so the Bureau has yet to put forward maybe the idea of race-based assistance programs specifically to help assist our Black residents in Portland, just to address possibly as a avenue to possibly address like systematic economic inequality, as well as current COVID realities about the fact that the pandemic has impacted the Black community at such larger rates than other community members. And so I'm interested in the Water Bureau as well as customer service director, just looking down those types of avenues, new avenues to address financial assistance for customer service. And secondarily, I wanted to say that I was able to review the audit that Tom and I believe Karen had mentioned, which was released in February of this year, which was like taxes, fines, and fees. And it was just an audit of how we're sending out collection letters and how bills work, are sent out to consumers. And it specifically stated that apartment renters are essentially subsidizing water assistance programs that homeowners are able to access, but are not able themselves to access. And that the city has had about 20 years to study a way to address that and has yet to have a comprehensive plan of action. And so I don't know if yet necessarily you can answer this right now, but I do want to be thinking about how in your role you can help in your tenure, if there's a way to really get that comprehensive plan solidly written down, so that we can use those 20 years of research and the minds that we have to finally address this. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, Robin. I really do appreciate those comments, and multifamily is top of mind for me, for the Bureau, and something my team, we've been talking about quite a bit over my first 30 days. So it is a big focus, just as our financial assistance programs and how we can revamp those. And something you mentioned, just the data and that's why I think data is going to be really important and helping guide the solutions we come to. So yes, I hear you. That's what I will say, is I do hear you, and those things are on top of my list.
Thanks, Robin. Quisha, just want to be respectful of your time. We have one more question from Kale. Do you want to? Okay, so Kale, go ahead.
Yep. Thank you. Welcome to the Portland Water Bill, and I'm excited to kind of see and have someone with your experience and background. I wanted to, going forward, based on your experiences, your lived experiences and professional experience, as you are in your role, to think about some of the things that we are doing to look out and be conscious about some things that are just inequitable to folks that to marginalized folks, to the BIPOC communities, to everyone, that the practices that we are doing. I've been with the board too close, for about a year myself, and I can tell you that there are, just a level of ignorance that I feel myself, where I get into these, I didn't know that was happening, moments, or just like what Tom shared, where we're shutting down a whole apartment complex because the landlord isn't paying when they are collecting rent. So things like that is just kind of new to me, that I think should not or should not have been happening. And so I'm excited to have you in that role. Maybe you can, kind of look at it, and in your position to be able to start questioning and identifying solutions. I would also encourage you to, look at the data, but in a way where maybe you're, coming up with different perspective in how we should collect data and what data to collect. I mean, if we're collecting data a certain way, and if another person comes in and we still collect data the same way or the same data, then we're not really making any changes. We have to look at how we are collecting and what we are collecting, to what extent we are wanting to inform. So I encourage you to, go through and look through your position with, a new set of eyes, with a new set of ideas and experiences. So thank you for hearing me.
Thank you, Kale. I really appreciate that. Very, very critical points that you made. Thank you.
All right, so I'm gonna kind of cut us off with that, because I know we got stuff to do, and Quisha, I want to be respectful of your time, and I know that we're gonna have multiple conversations, so this isn't the first or last time we're gonna see you. So thank you so much for the introduction, and I think we'll kind of let you go at this point. So thank you so much. All right, so okay. we're gonna head back and touch back to these recommendations. Again, this was back in December. So some of these items have either been adopted or have kind of, I don't want to say fallen to the wayside. So what we want to try to do is revisit items that we had open, kind of see the status of where they're at now, and then just do some straw polls for some recommendations, and at the end, I think take a vote on recommending. And it won't be anything, we're not going to have anything made formal at this point. More than likely what will happen is, as you saw through the budget cycle, is we'll have some ideas of recommendations. Amy and Eliza, the staff, will kind of formulate thoughts and come back, and then we'll have sort of a formal vote on any formal recommendations. So nothing formal at this point. So I don't know, Amy or Eliza.
I think what we'll do is go ahead and Amy's probably in the process of doing this right now because she's the major screen sharer. Bring up the document that we sent ahead as read ahead. What we've done is in that comments field where we noted that there may be a relevant update. Again, that was sent in read ahead as well. We've populated that right-hand column with the update from the Water Bureau that was sent as a separate document. And in this document, you'll see green are items you already discussed, and they're there for the context in case we need to reference them. But we're really today just focusing on the open items that hadn't been discussed and seeing that were straw polled in December, as Quisha shared, and that may be in need of updating, or you may like them just as they are. But yeah. And so I'm going to turn it back over to you, Quisha. But I think the first open item is under collections, debt recovery, billing. It's number 5. And you all, I will go ahead, if it's all right, I'll go ahead and share that you all did actually talk about this one, as you'll see in the December meeting. And Alex, who's not here today, everybody had primarily supported this one, and Alex had wanted to, he's the one who's noted under discuss, and he had wanted to make that a stronger statement and use some stronger words. So that's where that one landed. And and is that big enough? Can people actually read on the screen?
Read it. I don't know if there's anybody.
Yep, I'm seeing some thumbs up.
Okay, perfect.
And so
can you make it a little bit bigger? If you can, I mean, I can read it, but if it was a little bigger, it'd be better.
We'll ask Amy if she can work her magic.
Yeah, okay.
And I think for number 5, we could actually, if you all wanted, we could just note that Alex was hoping for stronger wording, and maybe staff and a pub volunteer can kind of work on, because you all had generally supported this statement, as you'll see. And as I was saying, number 1 under discuss is Alex. And he was saying, I'm supportive of it, but I want to say it more strongly. And so I feel like maybe we can skip this one and go to the next open item.
Okay, and I think honestly, just the discussion we had with Quisha, it sounds like there's several board members, kind of looking for that as well. So if there's anybody, I guess, any hands that doesn't want to have the staff members help put a little bit stronger language in this, as far as tying it back to communities of color. Go ahead, Tom.
I want to make sure I understand what we're talking about. So we're making the statement in this, are we making the statement as a value, or are we making this as a recommendation that the bureaus do this? Or that
It'll eventually be a recommendation that the bureaus do this, and there's a couple different formats that we can take.
But don't the bureaus already do this? Don't they have some kind of statements that they have made with regard to their working toward equity? And don't they already have some kind of statement that says they do recognize that many BIPOC folks and others, et cetera, et cetera? I I'm in support of this, and I'm just thinking that, and if anybody from the other bureaus knows if they're already doing this, then we would support what they're already doing. So anyway, I'm just a little confused.
Karen Williams, did you want to weigh in?
Yeah, I'm just going on my recollection. And this is in response to what Tom said. I am pretty sure that I recall Alex making a statement, something like this, like we're looking for actions more than statements, that he was looking for some more results, right, to show that BIPOC communities were being explicitly recognized for anyway, that there was more specific either outreach or choice of language, or he didn't go into those specifics about exactly what he was looking for, but it was my recollection that there was something very explicit about a statement of equitable desires was not sufficient. So for that reason, I would just throw my support again behind the concept of let's go with this recommendation, and expect that staff will work some more specific words and clarity into the recommendation.
Karen, would it be fair to say kind of a call to action? Like, yes, you guys have made the statement, but like, we'd really like to see it in action or process, like show us that this has been done.
Well, again, I'm going on memory and
right.
notes that I sort of scrawled during the meeting, because I think anyway, short answer, yes. I think that kind of gets more at, I obviously can't speak for Alex, but that gets more at what I remember him talking about.
Okay. So Tom, if that kind of clears up, I think.
Yeah, I think we'll wait and see what Alex comes up with. I don't know if Eliza or Amy know whether he's going to be able to do that.
I would actually encourage you all. I mean, he's primarily participating in recruitment now, and he's not going to be able to attend the meetings. And I feel like there were several other people who actually discussed this as well. And so I would actually propose that you all go ahead and make sort of go ahead and decide today as a group that you want to move this statement to be more about action and to use stronger language. And if there's anybody who objects to that, let us know. Otherwise, I think that's where we would move that statement to.
Okay, thanks, Eliza. So at this point, we're not taking like a formal vote. I think we'll do it at the end, but just quick sort of straw poll. Is there anybody who is not in favor of adding just a little bit more stronger language, and I think pointed language for action? Okay, not seeing any hands of objection. And I think it looks like Eliza will kind of workshop this and come back with a little more input on that. Thank you, everybody, for your comments and discussion. So next, so it looks like here number 9, Eliza, is that?
Number 8.
Okay. If feasible, collection activities should be focused on those who can pay and are not, rather than those who are struggling financially. And is this a statement we're looking to, or a recommendation, I guess?
So in this case, in your straw poll, 5 people at the December 16th meeting said yes to the statement as is. 2 said I'm passing, I'm neither for or against, I defer to the group. And 2 wanted to discuss it. So I would encourage the people, if anybody who's present today was one of the people who wanted to discuss it, I would encourage those folks.
Okay. If you remember that you wanted to discuss it, I feel like this was so long ago. So we'll put it on the table for now. We'll give it a little bit. If there's anybody who has more discussion around this or
Opposed to it now or anything like that. Yeah.
Tom, go ahead.
Well, so in reading the document that was our read ahead material from the Water Bureau, it appears, you know, when they're talking about the float program and something else, they appear to be, from what I read, they appear to be addressing this, and that they have a method that they're using regarding how they're talking to those who can pay part of it, and those who can't pay at all, and then how they're looking at trying to help them. So I guess my basic question is this already covered in the information that Water Bureau has provided us today or previously that it's the document, one of the read ahead documents for today. So maybe we can get back to this and see after we look at the information that they provided us.
Yeah, thanks, Tom. And if I remember this afloat program, is this kind of a newer initiative or something that they're just rolling out? I can't remember. Karen Williams.
Yeah, I agree with Tom and Kaliska, what you just said. It sounds like in March, this matching program that was started up, you know, begins to address this focusing, right, on folks who have some ability to pay and kind of going there first, which I would support. And I believe I was a 5 that I supported this recommendation as it was, but just in the interest of having some updated information now, I think we could, you know, just add something like, you know, the board recommends continuing that, you know, collection activities should continue to be focused on those, you know, something like that, that acknowledges some work has been done on this, but it's quite new, and, you know, it's remains to be seen, right, if more focus is needed in that area. But it does sound like the Bureau has made some strides in that direction that I would want to acknowledge.
Gabe texted me, I mean, sorry, you all, Gabe chatted me. Maybe if Gabe is comfortable, I'll just ask her to share.
Sure. So this is Gabe Salmer. I think you're on the right track in terms of the timing. So Afloat ran from March 7th through April 11th. That program has closed. I believe you saw in the read ahead material, we don't have enough money in that fund from ARPA, the first tranche of funding, to fund everyone's request. It was about a little over $400,000 short. We have asked for that funding through the ARPA 2 allocations, which the council is considering now. And then the match funds were general fund dollars that were assigned. It was $500,000, and that program, at least currently, will end when those funds are extended, because we cannot spend water or sewer funds in that way. But we are asking for more general funds through the ARPA 2 program to be able to continue match. So that's where those stand, if that's helpful.
Thanks for that, Gabe. That's good information. Kale, did you have a discussion point?
No, I just had a question that maybe somebody knows, because I'm not able to find it. So we're on the discussion of focused on who can pay. How did the Water Bill determine who can pay and who can't?
It's a good question. Not sure.
Is there anybody that can answer? Because I think that should be the discussion here. I mean, I think it's likely that who can't pay are probably more low income, marginalized folks, and activities should focus on who can pay would disproportionately impact those folks. So yeah, I think I'd be curious to know how they determine who can.
I'm happy to answer or let them discuss.
I guess so. Well, Gabe, I want to have you answer, but I want to see Teresa. Do you have a comment that's in relation to this?
Yeah, I recall like during the the beginning of when we started discussing this, some of the Water Bureau staff were saying they were having phone calls with people, and some were like straight up like I really can't pay, and that's how they can tell like these people are really struggling with paying their bills, and some are more like I'm just not going to pay because until you shut me off. So I think that was when we are hearing from the staff where like front street interactions where like some people might not be paying because they really can't, and some were just straight up like taking advantage of the system, which I believe is a small portion. But yeah, I think that was where this whole thread was coming from, is through those discussions.
So Gabe, I don't know, I'll let you.
Sure, just maybe to add on to that, that was really kind of the genesis for the Afloat program, was to focus on 80% of MFI. So we know that that is a population that has been struggling. We also focused on qualified census districts so that we could target communities that might have been hit disproportionately hard by the pandemic, BIPOC, but also people with disabilities, and transgender. So we were also looking at a particular focus of the community. Our early results show that we have hit that target. We had strong results in those communities. And one of the ways I think that we did that, which we were very cognizant of, is that not all people who are struggling are going to reach out to a government agency. There is a trust issue there. And so we worked with and paid community organizations that support the communities that we were targeting so that they could reach out and be the messenger and get people to apply. We also did a self-verification in terms of the information that they were sharing to lower the burden and the barriers to access. And then in terms of the match program, that is another way we do a lot of training with our frontline staff so that they can understand what is the program that's going to be best for the people who are calling in. So we know that that is a self-selected group of people who will call in for support, but we wanted to be able to reach them as well, whether that's with the match program or with our low-income discount program or with a crisis voucher or any of the existing programs. So there is definitely a focus on who can pay. Obviously, we're not mind readers, so we don't know. We only go off of the information that that people are providing. But I think that having these different approaches and ways to reach the communities that we know have been hardest hit has been important.
Perfect. Thank you so much for that.
I got a follow-up, Kaliska, if you may.
Okay.
Thank you for the for answering my question, help me understand. And I think that kind of goes back to why I think we needed more discussions as far as more intentionality in the statements, right? Because I think there is there needs to be some more intentionality in sharing that information that was just shared to us and making it more widely known that support is is there. You just need to ask, and for communities to access to support their communities. So I think that goes back to why this discussion was necessary, because for me, I wasn't aware of like grants for communities to reach out and inform folks. I was aware of the income assistance, but not so sure about what were the eligibility requirements. And then I'm sure a lot of folks are probably not aware that this as well. So maybe the discussion is more geared towards, I guess, being more committed or being more, I don't know how to put it into words, but trying to share, make it more widely known for the folks who need support.
Okay, thanks, Kale. So I think Eliza and Amy and board, just kind of gathering everybody's thoughts here. I wonder if for this one, I agree with Karen. I think we acknowledge that, you know, this afloat program ran it. I think, in my opinion, and if people are opposed to this, you know, support in their ask to get more dollars to continue to support a program like afloat. And then maybe some wording around what Kayla was talking about, just that there's intentionality and more, I guess, communications to the public on programming, available programming. Something along those lines. I'm not going to wordsmith it right now, but that's kind of what I'm thinking in summation of what's been discussed. Is there anybody wants to add to that, or feel that's once, you know, the staff kind of wordsmiths it, they'll come back, that sort of reaches the intent?
I see one thumbs up. If anybody's opposed, I don't think we have a thumbs down, but
Okay.
Sounds like it.
All right. So I think Eliza, Amy, that's probably, you guys need more, let me know or let us know.
I think that, yeah, I think we have a lot there. And
Okay.
then this one is again where the updates from the document are over in the column. And this may be a one where you, yeah, I'll let you all read the updates and the recommendation.
So recommendation was begin the collections process so as to start assessing the extent of the problem, balance both compassion to put those past due and fairness to those who have been paying what they can. So the updates are automated courtesy calls. So I would say, given the updates, I think again, this might be, instead of just kind of rephrasing, instead of begin the collections process, but continue down the path of, you know, this balanced compassion. Because, you know, it seems like the Bureau is consciously trying to make an effort to minimize the impact. If there's anybody that thinks differently, let me know. Again, we're not voting on the wording, but this will be kind of wordsmith, but with the afloat program and, you know, these items that have been instituted. So if there's anybody who has further discussion or wants to add something, let me know. Robin.
Yeah, that the audit that was sent out for the read ahead stated that a lot of collections information did not have translation services, translation information, and if it did have translation information, it was only in Spanish. And it was recommended essentially to expand that to more languages. And so I think it's important to mention that too, as we're starting this process, that we're incorporating this most recent audit into our recommendation.
Perfect. Thank you, Robin. Anybody else? All right. Seeing no other hands, let's move to the next one. If you guys are ready, those that are taking notes.
We are. We're tag teaming in the typing. It's sometimes
No worries.
sometimes typing the same thing at the same time.
Yeah. Is number 10 one of them, or?
Yes, 10 is up for discussion. You all didn't have a
Okay.
chance to discuss it.
Could you show number 9 at the same time that you're showing number 10? Okay, thanks.
Remove late and penalty fees, particularly for those who are low income, most vulnerable. Citizen working on signing skills. All right, so it looks like we had a couple for discussion. Anybody who has discussion points on this one at this point? Any additional language for this recommendation or any opposition?
Yeah, this is Kale. I'm not, I think I might be, let's see, move late penalty. Are we on 10?
Yeah.
Okay. No, I was looking at 9 and yeah, and so I don't think we had any issues with 9, but on April, lowering commercial thresholds for shut off from 3,000 to 500, I was just gonna ask what the definition of commercial thresholds, because I don't want to hurt small business. I don't think we should hurt small businesses, but that's not the discussion. I don't.
I mean, we can always tag that on for 9. Karen Spencer. Oh, Karen, I think your audio went out again.
Karen, if you can hear and you chat me, I'll read what you chat me, or you can text me, whichever's easier for you. Karen says that she is in favor of the sliding scale on number 10. I think that means in support of what Kale was suggesting. Is that right, Karen? Yep.
Okay, perfect.
Is anybody opposed to the addition from Kale and Karen?
Tom, go ahead.
I don't get it. I didn't hear anybody talking about sliding scale. It says remove late and penalty fees, particularly for those who are low income and most vulnerable. So I don't know what that means, the sliding scale. It says remove late and penalty fees. And I do think that the issue of the commercial threshold, I guess I don't fully understand that, but it does seem to relate to number 10, because it's saying remove late and penalty fees, and that lowering the threshold for shut off relates to, relates to paying your bill, not whether you're getting a penalty for it, but being shut off is a penalty. So anyway, it seems that 10 and 9 seem to relate in such a way that it'd be great if we could combine them into a statement that covers all of it. But I don't get what you mean by sliding scale when the statement doesn't say sliding scale.
So
I don't.
there's blue text underneath. So it said, see attached documentations from CBO's Joshua Martin, where he mentioned that the city of San Francisco's work on sliding scale fees for parking tickets and towing fees has been trend setting nationally. So
there's a sliding scale. Okay.
Yeah, so I'm going to take a step.
I don't know how that works. I mean, I don't know if how does it,
well, I don't want to make any assumptions because I haven't read it, but Robin, did you want to chime in?
Not specifically to what Tom was saying, but I think that this relates to recommendation 10. And that I just wanted to reference that audit again because it was really helpful, and it mentioned essentially that we have public debts that we're transferring to private collection agencies, and I was wondering if within this recommendation, if we should be discussing if it's, I don't know if it's necessarily ethical is the right word, but the fact that we're not necessarily using a public collection process. I don't know if there is one available, but just the fact that we're transferring these to private corporations that get to choose whatever percent that they are going to charge on top of the late fee. I wonder if that itself is adding a level of inequity to the payment. And if we're removing late fees and penalties, maybe removing excess charges through who we're hiring to collect the debts could also reduce the budget and address the vulnerable.
Okay. I don't know. I mean, I think we'd probably have to get if the question about the public collection process. I think, Robin, that's a great question. I think that's something maybe Eliza and Amy, maybe we take back, unless there's somebody who can answer it now, but I think maybe that's something we'd have to come back to the board with as far as the decision point there. So Karen Williams.
Thanks, Quisha. Yeah, I was going to, those are everyone's points I think are, I totally support exploring more of these ways and looking into how late and penalty fees can be removed, can be reduced, can be more equitably distributed. So it seems to me like we can incorporate all these excellent points as, for instances. Again, we're not getting into wordsmithing here, but I think, I would continue to support number 10 conceptually as a recommendation, with the idea that, perhaps we're not, we would not be quite so direct in saying remove late and penalty fees, but more, explore methods for removing, reducing, and making assessment of late and penalty fees more equitable, such as, right, sliding scales, examining the need for, public collection, corporations, and et cetera. So I think we can do it all. We would just kind of broaden our recommendation and give some examples.
Thanks, Karen. Sarah Messier.
Hey everyone, Sarah Messier, Portland Water Bureau staff and ex officio member. I don't know if this fits here, but I just want to make the point for all of you to be aware of. So late fees are the same on utility bills for both quarterly billed and monthly billed folks. I had a friend a few years ago who worked in the billing group and mentioned that, yeah, we really want to push people to, monthly billing to help with budgeting and all that stuff, but that increases the frequency of, getting late fees assessed. Because when you're being billed monthly, each month you could, if you're late, then you can get those late fees, versus if you're being billed quarterly, then you only get late fees once. So I just wanted to float that out there, that as more people are moving towards monthly billing, that does also increase their the potential to get actually billed more for late fees if they're late on their bills.
Thanks for that insight, Sarah. So kind of thinking between 9 and 10, I wonder if, just kind of throw this out there for consideration, that maybe as we make a statement that as the boards continue to look at this, the collections, that they focus in on these fees. I think I agree with Tom that we could probably somehow combine these two. Go ahead, Liza.
I think I'm agreeing. I put a note in there to try to combine them.
Okay.
I think I broke them apart somewhat arbitrarily, but in the hopes, because it's such a complicated multiple arms to it, and so trying to do the discussion points. And I want to make sure Karen Spencer said now when she tries to unmute, that's when her audio goes and she can't hear us and then she can't speak. So I'm going to read something she put in the chat for us. And I'm also, while I'm doing that, going to ask anybody, we kind of quickly moved over. Kale had concern that about the definition of commercial and that this does not hurt small businesses. I mean, staff can work up some wording on that, but I wanted to make sure if everybody was in supportive of some wording to make sure that and this is going back to number 9, where they say they're lowering the commercial threshold for shutoffs for the amount in arrears. And Kale, is everybody on board supportive of some wording there that indicates that the board is concerned that this move not hurt small business owners? So if you're, I've got support. Good. And so I'm going to read Karen Spencer's now. Okay. Oh, sorry. I don't need to read you that. I have a strong reaction to removing all late penalties, but I am in favor of making them more equitably based on income. I think in lines of like the sliding scale or some of the ideas other people are throwing out. There's just some percentage of folks who won't pay without a fee, which places burdens on the other payers. And so they're essentially borrowing ratepayer dollars and interest fees. So I think if we add that comment in, staff can actually, as Cleith was suggesting, kind of combine 9 and 10 and to share back with you all of where it lands.
Okay. So if there's, again, this is not final wording here. So if there's anybody that has anything else to add, otherwise we'll kind of let the wordsmithers wordsmith it, and they'll come back to us with kind of recommendations on how these, based on all these comments. So Tom, go ahead.
Just one last question. So are we still in the phase of that they are not charging a late or penalty fee because we're still in the pandemic thing? Are we still there? And what is the date, or have they set a date for when they would start late and penalty fees? If they, maybe they've already started, but I don't think they have. So are we still in are we still not charging them? And when does the Water Bureau, pending all of this information that they might explore, when are they planning to start those late penalty fees? Does anybody know? Okay.
Gabe.
Sorry about that. Yes, Tom, you are correct about the current status of the late fees, and we don't have a particular time. It will all need to be worked in together in terms of late fees for all the different classes. So we're looking at, we've started with commercial, and then for residential, you're correct. We have not started late fees or collections there.
Thanks, Gabe.
So before you start, Gabe, you would come back to the board before starting those?
I'm happy to give that information to the board as our thinking evolves, but we don't have a particular timeline in place. This is the best way to say that. But yes, happy to share that information. Maybe a written document as we put together that timeline would be helpful to the board.
Thank you.
All right. So I think we kind of got 9, 10 sussed out and discussed. So if there's any other, we'll kind of let this one lie. All right, 11.
And I will quickly alert you all that this one also has an update that from Water Bureau.
At one point, the board recommended that at least temporarily the Bureau continue with personalized calls to those who are behind. Let's see. Okay, so this is just adding staff. So the update is resumed automated courtesy calls. Let's replace the manual individualized callouts. So I don't know. Hmm, do we know if in this next budget ask from the bureaus that this full-time employee, the FTE, was included in that? Karen Williams.
So that was my question as well. And my recollection was that two part-time staff were hired. I thought limited duration, and the budget ask for looking ahead was to make them permanent, but I'm just going on memory. So hoping, looks like Gabe can correct my memory.
Sure. Actually, the limited term was a way for us to be able, because we do tend to have turnover in this area, the limited term was able for us to hire into those positions. And then when when the permanent positions became available with turnover or promotions, we were able to move those people in. So it allowed us to have more of a pipeline, but it's not, I would not say additional. We're keeping those limited terms sort of as that waiting area so that we can move people into the permanent positions. But to the comment, I think for recommendation 11 and to the update that we provided, the manual individualized call outs sort of hit a plateau. So we the effectiveness of that was actually equal to the effectiveness of the call outs that we did with the auto dialer. So certainly, of course, the board can recommend whatever it would like to do, but I would just want to share that information that the effectiveness didn't seem to be there long-term for those personal calls.
Thanks, Gabe. So I guess on this one, discussion wise, trying to think here. I guess the question is do we as a board still want to recommend that they find somebody to the personalized, or would we want to recommend that they find a more effective, or maybe we just don't recommend this at all at this point? Because it sounds like, I feel like 9 and 10 kind of address, you know, them finding methodologies. Tom, go ahead.
Well, I think my impression from how we voted is that we are in support of if the Bureau needs more staff to help the customers, especially these customers we're trying to get at the most, then I think we're in agreement. So just making a statement that we support the Bureau, the Bureau's need, we support their addition of staff to help address these needs that we've been pointing out above in 9 and 10 and everything else. So it seemed that we had that 8-1 vote. It seems, I mean, anyway, that's the way I take it, that if they need more staff, yeah, I support that for these purposes.
I wonder if Eliza and Amy, again, I wonder if this can be wordsmith back into 9 and 10.
It could be, and it may be wordsmith more generally. I think Tom was putting sort of a proposal on the table to drop 11 because that was like a point in time, and then saying on the basis of we support you adding staff in order to implement to address the customer service needs you have and implement all the recommendations we're making.
Right.
And so Tom, did I capture what you were saying correctly?
Yes, that's what I was saying. Yeah.
So if anybody is objected to that, otherwise that could be a new recommendation, and we just scratch out 11.
Okay. I mean, I think that works because it kind of tailors into all the discussion we had before. So if there's anybody who's opposed, let us know now. Otherwise, we'll again wordsmith it and come back to the table. Okay, 12. Do not shut off water due to lack of payments. See, water bureau, the update is a moratorium on shut-offs for residential continues, but the bureaus are planning to resume collection slowly. Okay, so it sounds like at this point, and I guess correct me if I'm wrong, but they haven't shut anybody's water off at this point, or that's not the intent, and that they're trying all these methodologies before, and then if they're not able to get them into a program or reach them, or there's just, after all this, then this is only the last resort. Tom, go ahead.
Well, so it's the last resort, but I think in our conversation about this subject, and we had some information from Pat Lando about water and water rights and things like that. And I think there was a feeling that we just didn't think that it was the right thing to do. Now, that's my recollection, so I'm not trying to put words in anybody's mouth, and maybe I'll just say it for myself. It seems to me that since, you know, a residential bill, 75% of the residential bill is related to BES. Only 25% of the bill is related to water. And so for BES to get its money, it's leveraging the fact that Water Bureau has this physical method of turning somebody's water off. And so BES gets its money because of this method that's used. And it just, to me, it feels like playing hardball. And it's the only bureau in the city that I know of that actually has a method that is so strong to get people to do something. And yet, and that strength is actually, I don't mean that in a positive way. I mean that it's kind of like you've got this way of doing it, and it seems kind of heavy-handed, and nobody else can do it. Nobody else can use a method to get people to pay when they owe something. If you owe on your taxes, or you owe on some other things, you know, you can't, you know, if you don't pay your gas tax, nobody's going to tell you you can't, you know, drive on the road, or if you don't pay your taxes, you can't walk on the sidewalk. I mean, anyway, so I'm sorry. It's just to me, I think I would like to propose that the board, and discuss it more, et cetera. But I think I would suggest that we make a statement that we think that the Water Bureau and BES should change their policy about using the shutoff as a means to get people to pay their bill.
Thanks for that insight, Tom. I wonder if we do have to reserve about 5 minutes left, so we have about 1 minute. So this can carry over to the next meeting. Don't think we're just gonna table this. Just kind of thinking, I wonder if maybe we, you know, ask them to find another methodology other than shutting off water, that if there's, you know, if they have a last resort, you know, come up with something else that's maybe not as heavy-handed, but, you know, can still end in the same result. I don't know what that is, but, you know, but just taking a look internally and, you know, what is it that, you know, what are these people struggling with, and what is it that would maybe be more effective? So I think that's kind of all the time. I don't know how many more. Oh, so Julia, go ahead.
I'll be super quick. I just think if we're going to explore that, which I think is a very good idea, we should maybe look at other municipalities that don't do shutoffs, that have found other methods. I mean, there's got to be examples out there. It might be worth doing a little research.
Thanks for that, Julia. Yeah. All right. So just so time check here. Great discussions. Again, we can continue this next meeting on May 3rd and kind of finish up the rest of them. Eliza, how many more do we have?
I'm not a good at quick count, but I think we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. We have a few more.
Okay, so yeah, definitely we're not gonna have time today, but all right, perfect. Well, this is great. I'm glad we're getting to kind of retouch back on some of these items. And I'm sure as updates come in, there might be more on some of these. So okay, so I'm gonna I think there's a quick update for, is it recruiting? Is that we need to touch on?
Recruitment, I can go ahead and, while Amy's forwarding through the recruitment, is just that we've closed recruitment and the interview team is reviewing applications and is moving forward on their work, and that's it. And so I'm going to turn over budget updates to Amy.
Right, I will just be very quick. So you should have seen an email about the updates that I sent about budget. So refer to that. If there's any questions, let me know. The dates on the slide are just about the next kind of public testimony opportunities. The mayor's office has been pretty busy with internal meetings, so we have not had any word about any sort of invite for meeting directly with the mayor or their staff. So I'm not anticipating that happening at this point. So the next direct opportunity for PUB, if they were interested in giving any additional testimony, would be likely at the rate hearing on May 18th. In the past, PUB, sometimes PUB has opted to testify, sometimes you've opted not to. It depends on whether you have new testimony that you want to share directly with council, and otherwise, if the testimony is similar to what you've already shared, then in other years, they've opted not to provide additional testimony. So that's just something that you can consider as that date approaches, so we can see what new information there is as we get closer to that date. So just reach out to me if you have questions or feedback.
Perfect. So I think that's it. And unless there's anything else. So thank you, everybody. We'll continue this discussion on these points. And then I think from there, we'll take a formal vote and then we'll kind of decide how we want to present these items. So I think there's a couple options. So next time, I think those are sort of the topics we're doing for May 3rd, carryover from today, brief conversation with Goldan Salazar, which is she's the new liaison, correct?
Yes,
I think we have an update on lead. So that's what's on the table for next meeting on May 3rd. So unless there's any other questions, go ahead, Tom.
Well, I just wanted to ask, and I think this is staff, but maybe it relates to everybody. Regarding the rate study, the 250-page report, there's quite a bit there, and I've had a few questions. I haven't put them down in writing yet, but I was wondering, can we share questions with the group? And the reason I say that, and questions, but not discussion, because when others have comments and questions, it triggers things. It helps me kind of think deeper on things. So is there a way that as we develop questions, we can share those?
Absolutely.
If you can share those with staff, we'll compile those and then we'll share a document with the full PUB as we're compiling them so that everybody can see that. So yeah, we can share that out with the full group.
So maybe you could do it like on a bi-weekly basis or once a month, as
sure.
I think we're going to be in this for a few months.
Yeah, it's going to be over a longer period of time, so we can certainly share that out with the group. And because we can add to the questions as we go, and some of you may have some ideas about, some additional points to add to to expand upon some of the questions.
Okay, great. Thank you.
And I think, Tom, I mean, once we kind of finish through some of the topics that we've had trailing out there, I mean, I don't see why we couldn't put this as a topic potentially. We'll just kind of have to see how timing wise, there's some key touch points back with the staff, but I mean, I know the rate study is a big one for a lot of us, so. All right, so if there's nothing else, we'll adjourn the meeting.
Thank you, Quisha.
Thank you.